Cat's Eye, Stephen King movie, came out in 1985, about a year after I was born. I watched it when I was a kid. I don't remember whether I liked it or not. I was pretty sure I liked it, but it was on sale. The Steelbook edition was on sale, so I decided to give it a shot. And I'm really glad I did because this movie is very good. Um, it's directed by Louis Teague, who this is actually his second Stephen King adaptation. His first one is Cujo, and it stars Drew Barrymore. And believe it or not, this is her second acting with a Stephen King adaptation. Her first was Firestarter. So, Cat's Eye is actually a really creative anthology. I really liked it. Most anthologies that I've seen up to this point are like you have like a host who's kind of telling you the tales, or it just goes from like one story to the next, and that's it. This one actually it follows a cat. You're following a cat, and it kind of meanders its way through different tales. So it's a really interesting way of telling the story. But before we get to the stories, there's actually a couple of cameos, which are pretty cool. The cat's attacked by kind of a mangy Saint Bernard, and it gets chased into a street, and it almost gets hit by like a red car. If you're even remotely a fan of Stephen King, you'll know that this is Cujo and Christine. I love this part of the movie. These appearances were a lot of fun, and I wish there was more of them throughout the movie. I love when movies give little nods or throwbacks to like other movies of the same universe. It's a lot of fun. It's almost like a kind of a Where's Waldo moment, and I enjoyed it a lot. So the cat gets picked up by this company called Quitters Inc., and it kind of gets held captive, and that's kind of how we start our first story. We meet a longtime smoker. I think his name's Morrison, Mr. Morrison. Anyway, he's in a waiting room. There's this guy who's just crying, like sobbing, in the waiting room with him. And it's like his hands are in his face, and he's just like so over dramatic crying. It's so funny. And when you put it against the main character's like deadpan reaction to the crying, it's funny. And I love this part of the movie because it helps set the tone of the movie. This is a horror movie, but it's a horror comedy, and this really sets the tone well. This move was a very good move in the very beginning of the movie to kind of set you on track for a slapstick movie. Otherwise, how are you going to get to scenes like this? Later on, he's in a room with a bunch of smokers, and this guy's like, "Come on, man, don't you want a cigarette? Don't you want to smoke?" It's a hilarious moment, but without these subtleties in the beginning, it's going to be for what? It's going to be out of nowhere, and it's going to be stupid. So he's eventually brought into the office where he is shown another room where the cat is, and the cat is being subject to all these shocks and kind of jumping around. And he's told, if our guys catch you smoking, we're going to kidnap your family and force them to be shocked as well. So that kind of sets the premise for the whole movie, which again is a ridiculous, absurd plot, but we've already laid the groundwork for kind of silliness anyway, so I'm fine with this. Now, the silliness, though, don't let it fool you, because this movie does have its fair share of very tense, eerie moments. There's this moment where he goes downstairs in his house in the dark to try to smoke. And just before he lights the cigarette, he hears a sound in the closet. And he goes very slowly to investigate the closet and opens it up. And whether or not there's something there is a little bit ambiguous, but nothing happens to him. But the whole time that was happening, I kept thinking, gosh, am I watching like Friday the 13th or Halloween? Like, this is tense. I liked it. There's another scene, actually, I was very surprised at how much this scene was kind of creepy. When he's in traffic and he kind of ducks down, kind of takes a drag of his cigarette. And then when he gets back up, though, it turns out that the guy who was parked next to him was spying on him, and then he catches him smoking. And the look he gives him right before he drives off is very eerie. And I was actually very surprised how much that scene stuck with me. Even after the movie was over, I kept thinking back to that scene and how kind of creepy that was to be caught like that. The cat ends up escaping, and it finds its way to a crazy millionaire in Vegas. And that's where the second story takes place. So this millionaire finds out that his wife's cheating on him. So he forces the other guy to to walk around the ledge of his like high-rise penthouse. It's a very similar scene to the Stephen King 1408, where the John Cusack character is forced to kind of walk on the ledge as well. But this is its own whole movie. This is the premise. So they do a lot more. He tries to climb over a sign and it breaks down and he has to hang on it. Kind of exciting. There's also one scene where like he's like leaning back, trying not to fall, but you can clearly see the string holding him on. That was kind of a funny moment. The millionaire is actually inside the building the whole time, kind of following him around from the inside, like trying to make him fall the whole time, throwing stuff at him, or, at one point he's like spraying him with a hose, trying to get him to fall off. There's actually one point where he like honks a horn at him, and that actually made me jump. I was surprised that scene made me jump. It was so silly. I jumped, and then I immediately laughed because I realized he was just like honking like a child's toy at him. That's what this movie does so well, is it weaves in between campiness and tension, kind of back and forth, and it kind of has you going back and forth to like, oh, this is funny, oh gosh, this is kind of scary. And I really like that about this movie. There's a scene where he's on the ledge and there's like a pigeon pecking at his ankle, and he can't kick it away, otherwise he would fall. So he's stuck with this pigeon picking at his ankle. It's so bad it starts bleeding. He finally ducks around the corner where he has some room, and he actually kicks the pigeon off, and all you see is like a bird carcass fly and like a spray of feathers go out, and that's what this movie does so well. It has the tension, and then it has the relief, it has the comedy, which is really good. In fact, I don't see slapstick in horrors anymore. Horror movie slapstick is just not that common anymore, and I really miss it. It's so much fun to have that kind of fun watching a horror movie. I there's nowhere else I can really find stuff like that. This movie's riddled with it, so it's really fun. After this story, we finally make our way to pretty much the main event of this movie. The whole movie's been leading up to this third act. The cat's been having these visions of this little girl that's in danger. The girl happens to be Drew Barrymore, and she's being stalked by a troll that lives inside of the walls of her room, and the troll wants to like suck the breath out of her while she sleeps. Yeah, it's pretty messed up. A lot of the comedy is gone, not all of it, but a lot of the comedy is gone by the third act. It really starts to sober up and starts to be a little more serious of a movie by the third act. That's not to say that the comedy is done and gone. There's a really funny scene where like the troll's like climbing up the bed and struggling, and then it finally gets to the top of the bed, but then like Drew Barrymore's foot moves a little bit and like knocks the troll off the bed, and it screams the whole way down. That's pretty funny. And there's other scenes that are like that as well. But for the most part, it's a lot more serious in the third act. What I love most about the third act is just the attention to detail. They built these whole sets that are like giant sets that this little troll guy in a costume can walk around in and look like he's tiny. I mean, the bird cage, they built a giant bird cage. The bed, they had to build the bed so this troll can climb up the bed. Little things like little dolls. There's a doorstop that he kicks under the door to prevent the parents from coming in. There's even like a little paintbrush that they made. I mean, their attention to detail was amazing in this last one, and it's so great to see. Not to mention the costume for the troll is amazing. I mean, look how fantastic it is, how much detail is put, like the lips and the eyes and the teeth and the snarling. It's so great to see practical effects in horror movies, and I miss this too, along with the comedy in movies. The practical effects in horror movies and action movies, it's pretty much gone. And it's so great to sit and watch an older movie, especially one that I haven't seen in a long time, and essentially watching a lot of it with fresh eyes as an adult. It's amazing, and it was really nice to see. And all this attention to detail was put into a movie that is about 30 minutes long at the end of an anthology series. So kudos to them for working that hard on something that was so small. And I loved it. It was a lot of fun to watch. I definitely recommend this movie. Cat's Eye, go watch it. Also, what I haven't seen in a long time is Cujo. And since it's the same director, I think I might give this one a shot too. I miss these anthology movies. Creepshow was another good one. Tales from the Dark Side was another good one. Tales from the Hood was a great one. It would be fun to maybe have an anthology movie night on Halloween or something like that. Usually I try to always watch like Halloween. Maybe an anthology movie would be a lot of fun. So what do you guys think? How's this anthology collection? Do you think it's worth watching anthologies during Halloween, or should we stay traditional and do Halloween on Halloween? Let me know if there are any anthologies that I haven't mentioned. What's your favorite anthology movie? Like, share, comment, subscribe, and until next time, thank you for watching.